a recipe to how we built a cult-like following with Andrew Tate. And these are not just angry teenagers who we attracted. We attracted people from all different demographics. They followed us, they listened to us, they did whatever we told them to. These were true believers, right? Now, this recipe has been used in history before already. People such as Osho, people such as Hitler, and many other historical figures have used this same recipe to build cult-like followings, to make people do whatever they told them to, right? You can use this same recipe to build cult-like followings of fishing enthusiasts, bodybuilders, ballerinas, hikers. It doesn't matter what it is. You can build a cult-like following using the same recipe. Same recipe that we used to build the Tate brand to hundreds of millions of dollars, right? And who are we? My name is Ali Pampa. I'm the former head of sales and marketing at Tate. And I've got my team, which consists of 17 of the 25 marketers. We generated 99% of all views from Tate. So you know what we're talking about here. Now, you can take this cult-like following recipe and you can apply it to your brand or business to make people do whatever you tell them, listen to whatever you say, and buy whatever you sell them. Tens, if not hundreds of thousands at a time. Right? This is very powerful stuff I'm going to teach you. So pay attention, because I'm about to teach the recipe and ingredients for how to build a cult-like following and bring hundreds of millions of dollars using your online business. So let's begin. So why build a cult-like following? What's the benefits? Now, obviously, if you have a cult-like following, they're going to listen to whatever you say, do whatever you tell them, and buy whatever you sell them. So obviously you're going to make a bunch of money. That's easy, right? But it goes more than that, right? This is about power. As humans, we want power, right? Anybody who can get power will take the power. It's simply because people don't know how to take power that they cannot take it, right? They don't know how to build a cult-like audience who will follow them and go to war with them. So that's one reason. Now, something to keep in mind as well is that you should never call your cult a cult, because this word is like a poison word. There are certain words in the English language which set off a cascading trigger of thoughts inside of people's minds. It may not be instant. You might call your cult a cult one day, but 1 year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, the cult is going to fall apart, because that one word caused a rift inside of somebody's mind. It caused the whole thing to break apart. It caused people to wake up and realize what you're actually doing to them, right? So keep that in mind. And it's actually not a bad thing to build a cult. Everything is a cult ultimately. Religion, politics, any ideology. What are these things fundamentally doing? These things are trying to change the way that you think, change the way that you do things, and change the way that you move through the world. That's exactly what a cult is. We'll go into this in a second here. So now let's talk about the principles of what actually goes into building a cult. Now, the first thing that goes into building a cult is you must have a larger-than-life figure. This person must be the most magnetic person that you've ever met, right? He must be a fantastic orator. He must be amazing at presenting, right? He must have a lifestyle that you aspire to. He must have facets that are inspirational for the people that follow you, right? You have an example with Tate. Tate had the supercars, he had the lifestyle, he had the girls, he had the bravado, he had the kickboxing, he had all of these things. That was his edge. That's why people were convinced that watched him, that actually believed in him, were like, oh, this guy's better than me. And that's the main thing that you have to convince people of. Whatever your edge is not going to be the same as Andrew Tate. Your edge might be something else. But whatever your edge is, for your target audience, they have to be convinced that you are somehow better than them, fundamentally better than them, right? Otherwise, they're not going to listen to you. That's the first ingredient. Now, the second ingredient is that you have to have a common dream or a common goal towards. This taps into the towards pleasure motivator of humans. We all want to go towards something that's going to benefit us, right? And it's super important, right? In our case, it was a facet of the lifestyle that Andrew Tate had, right? You wanted the supercars, you wanted the girls, you wanted the freedom, you wanted the fighting the Matrix, or whatever it was. You wanted some of that, and it was like a carrot that was dangled in front of you, right? Always in front of you. It's always there, but you never can quite reach it, right? That's what you have to create for your audience as well. Now, the next thing you have to do is you have to create a common enemy. Now, the common enemy, it doesn't even have to be a real thing. It can be just an idea, and sometimes an idea is more powerful, because a common enemy, if it's a real thing, it can die, it can go away, it can be defeated, right? But an idea never dies. Idea never goes away. In our case, it was the Matrix, right? Fighting the Matrix. What is the Matrix? Have you ever stopped to think what the Matrix is? It's not very clearly defined, is it? Right? The way that we would define it is you were somebody who didn't want to work a normal job, right? You didn't want to just make a wage job, make shit pay, live a shit life, with a wife who doesn't respect you, forced to eat shit foods and live a shit existence. That was what the Matrix was described as, but for everybody it was different, right? It was all encompassing. Now, another thing to keep in mind with creating a common enemy is that this is a much more powerful motivator than the towards pleasure. This is away from pain, right? You gotta imagine this. Imagine that I broke my arm right now, right? And it's dangling. And somebody told me, You can pay X amount for surgery, you can fix your arm so you don't have to lose it. Who wouldn't pay to fix your arm? Right? It's obvious. But would you pay the same amount to fly? You don't need to fly, right? It would be nice, it'd be super cool, but you don't need to fly, right? So away from pain is much more powerful than towards pleasure, but you need both. Because humans function on both. So these are the ingredients of what goes into building a cult-like following. Now let's talk about the recipe itself. So now you've got your ingredients, all the things you need to build a cult-like audience. Now it's time to follow the recipe. The first step of the recipe is you have to introduce yourself to your audience, right? If nobody knows about you, how are you going to program them, right? The fastest and most effective way right now is social media, right? We're blessed. In the past, you had to organically grow. You had to organically meet people, shake their hands, and when people would understand what kind of person you are. Now we can just go on YouTube and make a video like this, right? Then go and show from content after and scale it. Super simple, right? But the most important thing is you have to actually dazzle people. You actually have to be this person, right? Your results are only going to be proportional to how much people actually believe that you are magic. You understand? So it's very, very important. Now, if you want to become this person, right, we teach you exactly how inside of Cloud Profit Academy. Just click the link in the description. You can watch a free presentation exactly how. Now, that's the first step of the recipe. The second step is you have to start programming them. You have to start changing their minds. Change the way that they think. Make them look at the world through a different lens. Have them dress in a certain way. Have them speak in a certain tone with certain lingo, right? For example, inside of the war room, we used to call women dragons, right? We used to make people wear suits, smoke cigars, right? This was things that people usually didn't do, but they picked up once they joined Andrew Tate's circle. Right? So it's very important to always be programming them. Now keep in mind, you cannot reprogram someone's mind overnight. Because think about it. People have had a certain way of thinking for years before coming across you, right? You're not going to reprogram their minds overnight. It's going to take time. You're rewiring and remolding their whole brains, their whole previous lives, remolding it. So you've got to do it little by little. Change one thing here, change one thing there. Little by little. It's not going to be overnight, right? Now, another thing you have to keep in mind is that you should always promise a future or a vision ahead of them, right? Unattainable, they never actually reach that vision. However, it's right there. You're always mentioning it, you're always reminding them, but they never quite reach it. Because if they do reach it, game's over, isn't it? The next step in the recipe is that once you reach a critical point in your programming, and this usually is when people are quite bought into all the benefits and all the nice things that they can get via following you, now you have to install the shame and the fear tactics. You have to basically make them understand that if they do not 100% comply with the things that you are telling them, that you are preaching to them, that they are somehow stupid, retarded, and just completely will be outcast from the whole cult as a whole, right? And the way that you do this is you don't tell people this directly, right? You can't just go to someone's face and be like, hey, you're stupid if you don't listen to me. Like, that's no way to influence. People are going to resist that. What you do instead is use the third person. You can say things such as, you know, all these people who join the cult, you don't call it cult, but let's say all these people who join the group and, you know, they find some success and they're learning stuff and they're implementing, etc. You know, the people who always take the longest to find success are the people who don't 100% believe in the methods. You know, these people, I see them, they doubt step 2, they doubt step 3, and that's where they slip up always. And the people who just believe 100% step 2, step 3, they're the ones who find success quickly, you know. And the hard part is that these people are just ending up wasting their lives anyways, right? These are things that we've solved. These are frameworks that you can follow. It's super simple, it's super easy, right? Why wouldn't you just follow the framework? It's easy, right? It's easy, guys, right? And here's the thing, if you program your cult, your audience properly, they're all going to reinforce this. They're going to be like, yeah, of course, step 2, step 3 was easy, guys. Step 3, step 2. Did you do step 2? Yeah, that was easy, bro. Step 3, fucking piece of cake, right? The whole cult echoes the same thing. Now that 1, 2, 3, 4 people who are doubting, what do you think they're going to do? They've just been spoken to in the third person. They're the people who are doubting step 2 and 3. But you didn't tell them, you talked about it in the third person. And then the whole group is reinforcing that. They're going to conform. You have to do this to lock down your cult, right? It's not enough to talk about the benefits. There has to be shame, fear tactics, fear of ostracization. They have to be scared that they're going to get kicked out, that they're not going to form a part of this. This thing that's changed their lives, this guru, this figure who is so amazing, who is so dazzling, he's not going to accept me if I don't follow step 2 and 3. I better follow step 2 and 3. Boom, all doubt is gone. Congratulations, you now have a cult-like following. So what do you do now? Something to keep in mind. These are still humans. You cannot abuse them. And if you do abuse them on a long enough time frame, they are going to rebel and they're going to wake up from the cult. You don't want that. You want to treat people well. You want to reward them for good behavior. It's very important. It's part of Pavlovian conditioning. It's a very real thing. Remember, most people are sheep. They need to be led on. They need to be rewarded. Treat here, treat there for good behavior, that kind of thing. Now, another thing is that if you're not this person, if you're not actually that guy, if you're not dazzling, if people somehow find out that you're normal, that you're just another guy, you're just a dude, whole game's up, whole game's over, right? You lose your demigod status and your collapse is inevitable. Like, you get exposed, right? That's why building a cult-like following is a double-edged sword. There can be extreme upsides and there can be extreme downsides. So you have to play this game professionally. I just explained exactly how you can do it. However, there are more things, right? Obviously, I cannot share everything on YouTube. If I shared everything on YouTube, the world will collapse, right? So we share these things inside of Club Prophet Academy. How to build a cult-like following, the way that we did with Andrew Tate. We generate literally hundreds of millions of dollars. That same recipe that Osho used, that Hitler used. These are real knowledges. We have that inside of Club Prophet Academy. Click the link in the description. You watch the free presentation on exactly how we implemented this, based on the Tate secrets, direct instructions from Andrew Tate and Duke themselves. Another thing you should do is you should join Club Prophet Telegram channel for free. And I drop daily sauce in there, talking about cults and more things, funnels, marketing, sales, oration, body language, for free. And I have live calls in there as well, semi-regularly. You can also check the description of the Telegram channel. You can find my personal handle where you can message me. However, no dumb questions, please. Only smart questions, straight to the point. Answers about your business, answers about your life, ways you can improve, quickly implement. Otherwise, don't waste your time bothering me. And that's all. Until the next video.